Hey guys, so welcome back. Okay, so a little bit of things I want to talk about. I'm hoping this video is not gonna be too long, because I don't have that much depthness to talk about it, and I'm so tired of hearing about the whole Epstein files thing. But at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, I did look a little things. I did search some keywords, key names, and I think it's kind of crazy. Okay, so we have everybody's talking about the whole Epstein file, saying, you know, this person's mentioned, that person's mentioned, but it's kind of funny because I find it, and I'm trying not to be political here, but I find it really odd that the DOJ is releasing these files, and it's funny because they just announced that they're not releasing everything. They only released a certain amount, and they're not releasing no more, which I think is kind of crazy. But everyone's talking about how like Donald Trump is in the files. He's listening to the files. I mean, all I do is type in Donald Trump, and so much comes up. But the main things that come up is really, it's not really. I mean, yes, it's Epstein, but it's not Epstein. It's mainly the only thing that's like really highlighting to me is just about how victims have came forward and they talked about Trump did this and that, and he mentioned and that he mentioned Jeffrey Epstein's name and things like that. I'm not going to get explicit here, but it seems like it's more of like a victim's reports versus, and of course, the victim's names are redacted, and that's pretty much it as far as Trump goes. Um, but I find it odd that you type in almost any Republican, um, what do you call it, president. It's not it. You're gonna find something. Their name mentioned somewhere. But if you type in any like Democratic president, in which we know a few Democratic presidents out there, that may seem kind of sketchy, they're nowhere to be found. Not even as an advertisement, because if you click on, like, if you type in like random names, like celebrity names, and I'll get my results will come back. It looks like the old school, like on, when you're looking on a forum or you're reading something, and there's like advertisements or these little links with a picture of, saying so and so weight loss 32 pounds, whatever it is, like banners on the sides of the web page, like those, because I typed in a name, those results will come up. So I think that's kind of crazy though. When I type in a Democratic president's name, not even that comes up. And I'm specifically talking about the last two Democratic names. The whole Clinton thing does come up. Trump obviously comes up, which is just funny because Clinton is Democratic, which is kind of crazy. But we already know that, right? Um, then but I typed in Biden, and I'm not trying to. I don't want to get an argument with people talking about whatever, but I'm just saying, if you look at the Biden's presidency, it's it's you can tell he sniffs little kids. He's with women. He gets a little, touchy feely. He uses a lot of code words like the FBI has told us about, specifically ice cream, and look that up if you don't know what that means. Things like that. And he was Obama's vice president, and if Obama is not even coming up, and I think that's kind of crazy too, especially all that circulating about Michelle Obama probably being trans or something like that, and which, to each your own, but at least own it. I mean, if it's true, just say so. I mean, it's not a big deal, but the point is that you're not even owning it, which is crazy. And that, there's some, and there was back a few years ago, there was a picture circulating with Obama, and I want to say it was Mike Wallace. They were on a boat, and there was like a really, seriously, like under the age of 10, like probably like 6 7 year old, like, Asian little girl was on this boat in a compromising position, um, with Obama, and it's just like, and it looked like they were on a small boat. They were coming on and off a yacht, and it looked like it was in and near the islands. So I'm like, they I think it's kind of sus that how his name is not coming up. I'm not, and people are saying, well, his name's not coming up because he didn't do anything with Epstein. I'm thinking, I find it hard to believe. Um, at the same token, though, that doesn't mean he's completely innocent. He could be a whole separate thing. He may not have done things with Epstein, but he could be doing his own separate thing. And just like some of the celebrities, I did type in like Sean Combs, you know, P Diddy. I did type in Sean Combs, you know, for underneath the files that maybe because we know him and his music videos. He's on that yacht and he's all in white and he's over the island. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe there's some connection there. Because then we already know about whole Britney Spears, and she was connected with Combs as well. So I wonder if there's something there going on. Um, Britney Spears, that's a whole nother video. I mean, I'm starting to believe that the theory that Britney Spears was not even that she may be unalived. And the one we see now is a clone or a animatronic of some sort, an AI. They're testing it out on us. I don't know. Um, Only because if you look at her documentary and she talks about how where she sits there and she talks about how she feels like every day is like Groundhog Day. She does the same thing over and over again. She's sad, but she's also angry, but she's sad, and she's like, you hear me, but you're not listening, and things like that. You watch that back. I think it's back in '08. If you watch that, and then you listen to the lyrics of the song Lucky, and then you watch the music video of Every Time, you put those together, makes you, and it's all around the same time period. I mean, maybe her only escape is to probably unalive herself. I don't know. That theory is starting to seem like it's possible, and that explains why she is the way she is on, or whoever is playing Britney on Instagram, and why they turn off comments. You can't comment underneath it, and that explains why a lot of the AI stuff is happening. I think her dancing in front of the camera is probably the AI or the programmer or whatever it is body checking or making sure her movements are correct and she's fluid and that everything is going. Or it could be whoever is playing or cloned Britney is practicing. They have to keep the memory there. They have to constantly keep doing it, like it's a like you get up to brush your teeth, you wash your face, you eat your breakfast, you work out, you do these things every single day. Like it's like she said, like it's Groundhog Day. You do these things. So is this person that's on this camera on Instagram. You know, she's doing the same things, and I noticed in between those posts, there's also posts that are old, like years ago, and then there's also some odd ones that like show like of a some flowers or little tiny trinkets or things like that, girly, wispy things, and then there's random like she'll tag like the artist or a photographer in certain things, and I don't know if that's clue because I always click on the photographer's page and I'm looking to find that specific picture that she has and stuff. So I look it up and I see it, and I'm like trying to find it and see when that photographer posted it on their Instagram, and I'm like, what was happening at that moment in time? What is she trying to tell us? And I don't know. It's like is she trying to tell us something, or is she just trying to seem like she's real, trying to make us believe she's real when she's probably an AI tester, or she is a clone and she's trying to learn memories of past experiences getting photography done or interactions with certain people or whatever. And I think with the whole thing with Sam, I think Sam was honestly a handler. I think he knew everything was going to be fake. I think the wedding was fake. I think it was just more of just a make people believe that that's why he's hanging around is because he is married with her. And I think that was just a, you know, he was just a kind of watcher, and report back. Is she capable of handling, is this clone capable handling a relationship? Is this animatronic AI understands what the word love is and understands emotions? Can you, things like that, you know, it makes me wonder because I mean we know the CIA, they get involved in these industries, they use them. I mean we can go back as far as Disney. Look at Walt Disney, they used him in the, to portray MK Ultra and these and any kind of um, subliminal messaging, or to make sure the masses are seeing one point of view that they want them to see and believe. And it makes me kind of wonder. I mean, I don't know. I'm beginning to start to believe more and more that the Brittany we see, is either one an AI, an actual AI that's like an actual robot, animatronic style robot with the silicone skin and everything, um, and that's why sometimes it glitches out when she does certain movements. You can see like her eyes go through her hands, like when she moves her hands like this, it's like in front of her face. If you slow it down, because it's like a filter, or I don't know, maybe it doesn't work well with the camera, um, or she's a clone. And the reason I think about clone is because the whole thing with the Epstein files are talking about, how the Music and Brain Institute was there was a whole email that Mark, I think his name is Torno or something like that. He been emailing back and forth asking basically for Epstein's financial backing to uh, see if he can get rights, with Britney and her music and everything like that but uh, from Universal. And I was like, when did Britney start working with Universal Music? Because she worked with Jive Records all the way up until like 2000. I want to say 8, 9, maybe no later than 2011. And I'm like, did Universal buy those records? I don't know. And do y'all remember there was a fire at Universal Music Warehouse? And all the like masters of all these like songs and these artists, all those things were destroyed. There was a fire. They say it was electrical fire. Makes you wonder when all this that happened. It was around the same time when when Epstein was arrested. So I'm like, there's when it comes to music and musicians, it's probably deeper than what we think. Then we can talk about how like Cardi B, the way she acted on that weird interview. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. How she literally just stopped and like froze. Like, is she also a clone or an AI? I mean, we don't know. So I mean, I can keep going about this, but I mean, there's so much, and I'm like trying to registering everything, and I didn't want to talk about the Epstein. I'm tired of talking about Epstein, but the deeper I keep going, especially on the music side of things, the worse it gets. I mean, I'm thinking they told us, and now we're like going back. And the most important thing you want to pay attention to is the dates. When did this happen? And when did this over here happen? What this over here happened because of this over here happened, and they're connected. And then what did they have in common, and who was in charge, and who was involved, and yeah. So I don't know, guys. What do you guys think about that? I also looked into and back through the whole political thing. When I was talking about Obama and all them, I honestly I think they I'm not like I said. I don't. He may not have been involved with Epstein, but that doesn't mean he had his own thing. I think on both sides of the aisle are guilty of the same things. I think they're both. They've got their own path, wickedness they've walked down. I am to the point now. I have gotten to on social media where I have been friends with people on social media, and I'm friends for 20 years and plus, with them, and we disagree politically. But it's funny how they it seems like they keep like forcing their belief systems, and that's all I see on my feed. So to stop that, I had to go underneath a bunch of my friends pages on, especially on Facebook, and just unfollow them. We're still friends. They don't know I unfollowed them. They just know, we're still friends. But I had to unfollow them because so I can stop seeing their feed, or their stuff on my feed, because I got tired of it being shoved down my throat. I mean, especially like if you're not a Trump supporter, all I kept hearing about is like, especially this whole month is all about the Obamas, Obamas, Obamas. I'm like, oh my God, say it loud and oh no, let's give them applause. You know, they're so classy. Da da da. I'm thinking in my head, whatever. And the same thing with Trump. Oh my gosh, he's so innocent. What are y'all talking about? He's just a dude. You know, it's not a big deal. You know, whatever. So, and that's getting shoved down my throat. Then I hear about the whole Super Bowl Bad Bunny thing, and then that got shoved down my throat. And I'm like, dude, I'm getting to the point, guys, that when I don't want to stop being on social media, but I'm getting to the point where I'm just like, I'm just gonna start, um, just I I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. I think I'm already at the point where I'm not going to vote Republican. I'm not going to vote Democrat. I'm actually getting to the point I'm going to vote independent because even though independent never wins, but it can. Or I mean, what if the next election we all just boycott and don't even vote at all? What happens then? I haven't Googled it. I'm pretty sure there's an answer for it. But I mean, what if we didn't know? What if we just didn't vote for anybody? Then who gets chosen? You know what I mean? Um, I don't know. We already know the electoral college is the one that makes the ultimate decision. So, and money talks, you know, BS walks. But yeah, um, I'm over here just. I mean, I'm more for the people. You know, there's more to people than their political views or their conspiracy theories or whatever. I mean, how about you can be friends with somebody and have conversations with somebody and hang out with somebody or whatever it is and talk about the weather, talk about sports, talk about music, talk about, you know, the next best movie out there, talk about fashion, talk about, you know, there's so many other things in life you can talk about than religion and politics and you know, racism and all the other stuff and gender, sex, whatever. You know, you can there's so if you can't find a conversation or a topic to talk about, then maybe your mind is not as broad as you think it is. Read a book, educate yourself, look more, you know, find a favorite author, write your own story. You know what I mean? I mean, there's other things you can do and talk about or whatever it is with people with and still be friends with them and even though you're both politically on the opposite sides, even though you're both probably different religions or you're different races or you're different your belief systems, your ideals, your way of life is different, your point of views are different, even though those are all different, you can still be friends because there's so much more in life to talk about besides those things. The system wants you only talking about those things. They want to give you a list of 5 subjects to talk about, and that's all they want you to talk about. That's why it's constantly shoved in our face. That's why it's all it's on the news. Nothing crazy, nothing amazing is ever on the news. It's all about those 5 subjects. That's it. So turn off the news. You know, you can still get the gist of what's happening in the world without having to watch a whole hour of news. You can literally, um, you know, I mean, I read medical journals sometimes. I'm thinking, wow, this is kind of cool. They're doing their research on this. Or, oh my gosh, look what's happening in space. You know, they discover this star. Or, oh, there's an asteroid, you know, and there's something maybe happening about it. Or look, there was a fossil discovered over in another country. And I'm looking at things that are bigger than just politics, than religion, and bigger than conspiracy theories, bigger than, you know, just what they want us to talk about. Don't let them tell you what to talk about. You choose what you want to talk about and try it for once. Don't try to have a conversation with somebody without mentioning or coming up with or with those with that short list, you know, broaden your horizons a little bit. And if you can't do it or it's too hard to do it, then maybe you need to go back and sit back and look at yourself. Do some self help, do some meditation, do some journaling, you know, sit with yourself for a minute. Go to the library, check out a book, learn a new language, do things, learn to cook a new meal. Talk, you know, when you start doing those things, you start learning that you want to talk about those things. And then when you start talking about those things, you find out you're talking less about those other things that the government wants you to talk about, you know? And then when you're not talking about what they want you to talk about, then you got your mind back. You got your power back. You got your happiness back, your joy back. I found out I've been sleeping so much better when I stopped talking and controlling my feed and stopped conversing with those topics, you know? So I'm just saying. Now the Epstein file thing, that's just interesting to me because it's like a true crime thing, and I'm interested in true crime, so that's interesting to me. So that's why I I bring it up. So, but it will eventually fade, and it's gonna be here today and gone tomorrow. You know, people are gonna stop talking about it, and it's just gonna move forward. You know, I mean, what's the next thing? So there's no harm in every once in a while jumping on that bandwagon of breaking news, you know, but you can't let that be your whole life. You have to have other things in this world to talk about or engage into and spend your energy and your brain power and everything, you know? So, okay. So, with that being said, guys, I think that's all I got to say. So, I guess take care of yourselves and make sure you stay subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.